a major sporting event is underway in Melbourne. Esports is competitive online video gaming, and it's become a $1 billion global behemoth. Professional gamers are battling it out in front of thousands of fans at the Melbourne Esports Open, with many thousands more watching online.
People think that it's just playing video games, it's really, really casual, but we're running leagues that are equivalent of the size of the AFL or the A-League, and it's as structured as those as well.
For some young Australians, playing video games has become a serious and lucrative career.
You don't know Leica?
Brandon Holland, known as Swiper, is a professional League of Legends player. He and his team, the Chiefs, are famous.
It's sort of like every dude's dream. It's sort of like getting with the mates and having a LAN party on a lot of PCs and playing games, but that's essentially what I do for a living.
The Chiefs are competing in the Melbourne Esports Open. The winners will head to Korea to compete against the best in the world, and the Chiefs are favourites.
Anywhere. Okay? Don't care
you
where.
You don't want to choose?
No, just front and centre.
Front centre?
You're the man. Right in the middle.
Within the last decade, we've seen events with small prize pools of maybe tens of thousands or even thousands explode onto millions on the world stage.
Holland is a full-time gamer. While he hasn't won millions of dollars in prize money like the world's best players, he makes a decent living.
Welcome to MEO 2019! Can you feel it?
But there's another way to make money on esports: gambling. Betting markets, especially on smaller tournaments that attract less attention than this one, create an environment ripe for corruption.
It is absolutely the largest and quickest growing sports type in the world at the moment, and certainly in terms of betting markets in sports, it's also one of the quickest growing betting markets in the world at the moment.
And betting on esports has a significant impact on esports.
The Global Integrity Commissioner for Esports, Ian Smith, has a huge task trying to weed out corruption.
The betting market on esports dwarfs the value of the esports market. Conservatively, this year, worldwide, on all markets, legal, illegal, licensed, unlicensed, will probably exceed about 80 billion US.
Major Australian bookmakers such as Sportsbet set odds on esports. It's the struggling players who are vulnerable, gamers whose names aren't famous like Swipers. For every Brandon Holland, there are hundreds of players who won't make it in esports. Counter-Strike Global Offensive is one of the world's most popular video games. Earlier this year, a series of lower-tier Counter-Strike competitions took place in a semi-professional Australian league. But when Sportsbet noticed unusual betting activity, Victoria Police started to investigate.
It's only probably over the last 12 or 18 months that we've really started to understand the playing field and what's involved in esports in Australia and in the Victorian context.
Fans were also starting to pick up strange things happening within the game.
And they're just not playing true to themselves. This play style, alongside, say, betting markets, is what investigators look for.
Terrorists win.
The team allegedly involved was made up of young men from across Australia. They had no idea they'd become the targets of Australia's first major esports corruption investigation. Last month, police pounced, arresting 2 players and 4 other young men who they suspect gambled on the games.
They're not superstars in these games. They're right at the bottom end, and they've worked out a methodology where they can make some money, and that's by throwing games.
Police allege 2 players deliberately lost games after telling associates to bet on their opponents. 4 other players on the team are not suspected of any wrongdoing.
The motivation is greed, it's money. What's unique about these is that we've got young men, typically 19 or 20-year-olds, who have no history with police, and they're getting involved in corrupting activities that have serious consequences for them.
Police suspect $30,000 was won betting on fixed matches. Not huge money, but far more than any of the players allegedly involved made in their entire careers.
So my question would be to parents is, how are we having a conversation with our young men about esports, match fixing in the context of computer games?
Yeah, very hard to break a basic.
News of the arrests stunned the esports community.
I think it's definitely taken the scene aback. It's woken up a lot of people to what's going to happen to esports in the future and what's actually going to be scrutinised. And hopefully from there, those players who possibly could have been thinking about doing this action in the past will not take part of it whatsoever.
7:30 can also reveal Victoria Police have concerns other games involving different teams may have also been fixed, and fear there are organised crime links to team owners in the sport.
There is no test of a fit and proper person to be engaged as an owner of an esports team, and we are seeing people encroach on that area that have reputations that probably wouldn't or shouldn't be involved in this part of esports.
Like all sports, esports results are unpredictable. Brandon Holland and the Chiefs lose in the Esports Open to the underdogs, Mammoth. Brandon is too hell-bent on winning to ever consider throwing a game, but he knows other players could be tempted.
I think gambling in esports should be banned. I think it creates too many negatives in people's life, and I just think it can pretty much control people and make them have decisions that are just terrible.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.